Okay. It says, we want to sell our house and move out of the area. However, it appears properties are moving a little slower. Any ideas on how we can market our home to stand out and get it sold?
Oh yeah, for sure. What comes to mind is what I also harp on a lot, quite a bit. Uh, do what builders do. If you want to sell your house, if you want to move out of the area, which of course in California that could mean moving out of state. Um, but if that's what you're looking at, and you're worried about, yeah, there's more inventory of homes for sale, you're going to get kind of lost in the crowd in terms of making your home stand out, your listing stand out. I would urge you, talk to your agent, talk to your listing agent, and then you and your listing agent talk to somebody like us. Give me a call. What I would do is I will help you come up with some ways to market your home using financing to attract more buyers. When you list your home, you're going to talk to a listing agent. You're going to come up with some price, some list price that the agent's going to recommend. Now, you as a seller have got to decide if you're going to agree with that recommendation and list at that number or list at a different number. A lot of listing agents will say, well, I'm trying to convince them to list for this, but they want me to list for this plus 10. And regardless of where you come out on that, you also want to have a frank discussion about, well, once we pick a list price, we need to understand right from the get-go, what are we going to do if 30 days, 45 days go by and we don't get an offer? Then you've got to start thinking about making an adjustment to your listing, either in price or some other way. Well, I would argue, think strategically about all of that at the front end, and then consider this, because this is what builders do. They're going to do their budgeting, figure out based on their cost to build a home what they should sell it for. But oftentimes, in fact, most of the time, they're going to come up with that number and they're going to tweak that number further. Why? Because they're almost always going to provide some sort of incentive package to that buyer. And what do they often do? They account for the cost of that into the price. So if you're looking at a price, your home, and you're going to sell it for $750, you decide that's the number. I would suggest, you know what? Do something more creative. List it for not $750. List it for $789, and then put in, have your listing agent put in the public remarks that you'll provide an incentive for a rate buy down or closing costs with a full price offer. Again, that's what builders do that all the time. We're handling homes for loans for a particular home builder right now, where they're offering standard $30,000 with every unit being sold. So we take that money and we show the buyer how they can use that for a permanent rate buy down plus closing costs, or a temporary 2-1 buy down or 3-2-1 in some cases plus closing costs. So we can show the buyer how they can benefit directly in terms of lower rate, lower payments, lower cash to close by using those incentive dollars from the seller. So if you're a seller, think in those terms, adjust your list price to allow some room for you to offer those kind of incentives at the front end when you first activate the listing. I would suggest to you, if you do that, you're going to have, I think, a little bit better success in making your listing stand out, and more likely going to attract some buyers that you otherwise would not attract.
I think that's great because, again, in the area where they mentioned they are at, it's like everybody seems to be at the same price. And now, as you said, after 30 days, all of a sudden, what do we see? Well, we see rates or prices drop, which then gets them all keyed up of like, wow, geez, I'm going to have to give my home away. Right. But it sounds like what you're talking about makes so much more sense. And again, it's not uncommon, as you say, the new home sellers use this all the time and are very successful with it.
Yep, very much so.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Art, thank you so much for jumping in and doing this. This was a lot of fun. I hope everyone enjoyed this. This was the Ask Me Anything program with Art. And so if you have any questions, please send them in, put them in the comments, and we'll continue this offline. But Art, thank you so much. I'll give it back to you.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Well, thank you everyone for watching and listening to this week's Mortgage Minute. My name is Art Alvarez with Mortgage Works, where we have the answers and they're on the house. Have a great weekend. It's going to be kind of a toasty week this week, both here in the Coachella Valley area and I think in a greater part of Southern California.